when the phone lights up with notifications. And inside, it's still noisy after a long day. It feels like support has somehow been lost. But the quiet part of you has not gone anywhere, and it can bring clarity back faster than you think. You don't have to become a different person to feel whole again. Most often, the problem is not that there is emptiness inside, but that the external noise drowns out what has always been steady. And while you are trying to catch up with expectations, prove your strength, and not crumble under pressure, the connection with yourself becomes thinner, although the foundation itself remains in place. Today, you will see why this state is familiar to almost everyone who has lived in overload for a long time. The key is not to remove all storms from life, but to stop taking them as your true nature. When this becomes clear, anxiety no longer controls you the way it used to, and there is a chance to return to yourself without struggle and without a mask. There is one important thing that many overlook. Inner peace does not need to be invented. It is already present in you. Even when the day does not go as planned, even when you doubt yourself, and even when the world demands too much from you. That is why it is so dangerous to live only by reactions, because in them, it is easy to lose contact with the one who observes all this from the outside and remains unchanged. This topic is particularly important now because there is too much noise, comparison, and constant pressure to be faster, stronger, and more convenient. A person becomes accustomed to living in reactive mode, and over time, it becomes difficult to hear themselves without the voices of others, external judgments, and endless haste. This leads to not only fatigue, but also a strange feeling that life is passing by while you are constantly trying to conform. When the connection with oneself weakens, a person does not necessarily appear lost on the outside. They may work, socialize, plan something, and remain quite composed, but inside they feel that they are lying not on themselves, but on a fragile construct of expectations and habits. That is why the conversation about the true self is not an abstract philosophy, but a very practical attempt to restore stability where it is becoming less and less. In these moments, you will see why this state does not come through effort, and why it cannot be forced out with willpower. Next, we will calmly analyze how a person loses contact with their own foundation, what exactly substitutes this contact in everyday life, and why even strong, composed people sometimes feel an inner emptiness. Then it will become clearer how one can restore this connection without complex schemes and without the attempt to instantly remake oneself. And the most important thing here is that the true self does not need to be sought far away because it does not disappear. It simply gets covered by layers of noise, fatigue, and other people's scripts. There is also another hidden aspect. The more digital noise there is around, the easier it is to confuse one's own depth with constant reactivity, and the harder it is to notice the simple silence within oneself. But it is in this silence that a person begins to discern where their true decisions lie, and where there is only an automatic reaction to the outside world. And this understanding often marks the beginning of their return to themselves. The connection with oneself rarely breaks at once. More often, it fades where a person lives too long in a mode of responding to everything around. Notification, request, expectation, someone else's tone, internal obligation not to let others down, and attention constantly shifts outward. The body then holds its shoulders up longer. The jaw clenches almost imperceptibly. The gaze fixates on the screen, and inside appears a strange emptiness that can easily be mistaken for losing oneself. In reality, it's not disappearance, but overload of the channel through which you usually hear yourself. Many think that the issue lies in a weak willpower, or that it seems like there is no core left inside. This is a convenient but false explanation. A much more accurate feeling is, you are still present, just your inner voice is drowned out by louder signals. When the day is built on constant reaction, the psyche begins to confuse response with personality. A person no longer asks themselves what they want. They ask what is expected of them. And the longer this lasts, the stronger the feeling arises that living must be done on someone else's frequency. This is especially noticeable in those who are accustomed to being accommodating and collected. A leader who smooths the edges in every conversation may, by evening, feel not even tiredness, but an internal dryness, as if they had spent the entire day being just a function. A person who cannot refuse notices this differently. They agree even before they manage to understand what they want for themselves, and then become irritated with themselves for this submissiveness. And in both cases, the same trap. It seems that one urgently needs to find themselves, while in reality, what is needed is to stop drowning out what is already sending signals. There is another mistake made by almost everyone. They try to regain the connection with themselves through the right image, as if there exists somewhere a more confident, calm, perfect version of the personality. And all that is needed is to reach it. It will become easier. But this way, a person does not return to themselves, but goes even further away, because they begin to compare their living state with an ideal mask. From this moment on, any doubt is perceived as a breakdown. Meanwhile, the truth is much simpler. You are not required to feel clarity all the time to remain yourself. Your foundation manifests not in infallibility, but in what remains steady beneath the noise, not subject to every whim of the day. This is clearly visible in a typical situation when a project falls apart, deadlines burn, and a person suddenly begins to speak to themselves in someone else's voice. A familiar thought rises inside, that right now it's necessary to just pull it together, not to feel extra, to push through at any cost. But it is at this moment that the contact with oneself is often lost, because tension no longer helps and only narrows consciousness to a single point. Conversely, when after a sharp conversation, you notice the cold in your palms for a second, the ragged breath, the tight stomach, it becomes clear that this is not your essence, but merely a reaction. This turnaround changes everything. You begin to understand that experiences come and go, while the observing part inside remains in place. If viewed honestly, the connection with oneself collapses not from weakness, but from too long a refusal of one's own point of reference. You are constantly looking at the environment's reaction, and too rarely at what is happening inside right now. Therefore, the return to oneself begins not with the search for a new personality, but with the acknowledgement of a simple thing. What you feel at this moment is not equal to who you are. This is a temporary layer, not a verdict. Try right now to set a timer for 60 seconds and do nothing but ask yourself one honest question. Ask not what you need to achieve, but what is happening inside you right now. If you remove others' expectations for at least a minute. This works not as a beautiful pause, but as a quick return to the starting point. In everyday life, this is the first thing that gets lost when you respond to messages, jump between tasks, and no longer notice where your own pace is and where the pressure from others begins. Imagine a typical workday. You open your laptop, see a packed to-do list, and your hand instinctively reaches to dive into the first urgent task. But if at that moment you pause for 60 seconds and ask yourself what is tense in your body, you will almost always hear the truth before your thoughts manage to confuse everything. Some may feel a tightness in their throat, others might feel heavy shoulders, and some may experience an internal noise resembling overheating. And this is no longer an abstraction, but a signal that you are living on autopilot. You don't need to engage in a major inner work. One action is enough: to choose not the loudest, but the most authentic decision for the next half hour. Sometimes it means postponing an unnecessary conversation. Sometimes not taking on someone else's urgency. And sometimes simply finishing one task without racing after everything else. This practice is least needed when you are calm. It is needed precisely at the moment of losing your pace, when you begin to accelerate on someone else's tension. This is the format E in its purest form. Without awareness, the day looks as if you are always catching up and end up feeling drained, even if you've achieved a lot. With awareness, the same situation changes noticeably earlier. You don't wait until you are completely overwhelmed. Instead, you notice the first internal shift and regain control before the reaction becomes a habit. How to integrate this into chaos. When you are standing in line, riding on public transport, or sitting in a work call, you can do it unnoticed by those around you in 10 seconds. Simply feel your feet in your shoes, or the support of your back on the chair a bit more strongly. Release unnecessary tension in your jaw, and briefly note what inside you is the loudest right now. At that moment, your body usually becomes heavier and simultaneously more gathered. Your breath levels out to one deeper level, and your head stops racing ahead of what is happening. This is a small return to yourself, without theater or a pause that lasts half a lifetime. Inner peace does not come as a reward for perfection. It appears when you stop confusing the noise of the day with your own nature and begin to discern what is temporary within you and what is truly stable. That is why it is so important not to seek yourself in yet another version of better, faster, stronger, but to return to that part of yourself that does not disappear even under pressure. Today's conversation boils down to a simple thing. You may be tossed around, but that does not negate your center. Circumstances may throw you off, but they do not rewrite your foundation. And the more honestly you notice where you react automatically, the less power everything that once seemed stronger than you holds. You do not need to wait for a special moment for this to be true. Simply start with an ordinary morning, with the first tension, with the first attempt to live again, not just in response to the outer world. The most accurate thing about this topic is that returning to yourself almost always looks quieter than we expect. Not a flash, not a revelation, but a brief recognition that you have already been here, simply listening to the unnecessary noise for too long. And if tomorrow morning you choose for at least a minute, not haste, but your own point of support, the day will begin differently without much effort. If this video was helpful to you, subscribe so you don't miss the next day.